right, we have no items on public hearing tonight, so we'll go right into our regular business meeting for January 9th, 2023. If you have a cell phone, please mute it or turn it off at this time. We're going to have our invocation by Gerald Sticker, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by John and Graffia. Please stand.
Okay. Heavenly Father, thank you for the meeting of this governing body. I just ask that you would be with each one of these individuals and help them to rule with dignity and honor and give them the wisdom that they need to conduct your business, God, and the business of this parish in an efficient manner and within regards to your will. And forgive us all where we fail you always. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Would all veterans and active military please render the proper salute?
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Zoo, would you please call roll?
Mr. Forrest.
Present.
Mr. Ingraffia.
Here.
Mr. Joseph.
Present.
Mr. Bruno.
Here.
Mr. Richtel.
Here.
Mr. Mayhew.
Here.
Mr. Wells.
Here.
Mr. Vial.
Here.
Ms. Hyde.
Here.
Ms. Coates.
All right, the first item is election of our 2023 officers. Hopefully this will go quicker than the House of Representatives vote, because there's supposedly a ball game tonight. People are wanting to get home.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councilman David Vial.
All right, we have a nomination for David Vial.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Second.
We don't
I'd
need a
like
second.
to nominate Bridget Hyde.
All right, are there any more nominations? I need a motion to close nominations. I'm sorry. Mr. Joseph?
Said moved and closed.
That nomination closed?
I'll second it.
Motion to close nominations by Mr. Joseph, second by Mr. Bruno. Guess
Make
we'll do a roll
Second
call
the
vote.
nomination for Bridget Hyde.
We don't need a second.
We need a roll call vote to close, right, Brad?
Yes. So I need a roll call vote to close nominations.
Okay, who we doing first?
We're going to, we're
We have-
closing nominations.
So moved to close.
Mr. Ingraffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Bruno.
Yes, this is
Mr.
closed,
Rich-
right?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel.
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew.
No.
To close.
Close the nomination.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Vial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Coates.
Yes.
Mr. Forrest.
Yes.
Okay, I guess we'll do a roll call vote and just, when your name's called, state who you're voting for. All right, Mr. Zoo.
Mr. Forrest.
Yeah.
Mr. Ingraffia.
VL.
Mr. Joseph.
Councilman David Vial.
Mr. Bruno.
Yeah.
Mr. Richtel.
VL.
Mr. Mayhew.
Hyde.
Mr. Wells.
Hyde.
Mr. Vial.
VL.
Ms. Hyde.
Hyde.
Ms. Coates.
Hyde.
That's 6-4.
All right, congratulations, Mr. VL. Would you like to run the rest of the meeting tonight, or?
I'll be glad to do that. It's up to you.
I'd like to also say I want to thank Bridget for 2 years. She's done an excellent job. And I think she's covered some pretty hairy things over the last 2 years, and I appreciate what you did.
I agree with you.
Thank you. No, I don't think they would, but just to be safe.
Okay, thank y'all. The next, it would be a open nominations for vice chair. Open to the floor.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I nominate Joy Mayhew.
Okay. Any other nominations from the floor? Going once? Okay, got to move to nominations be closed. There a second?
Second.
Can you give us a roll call on that? Well, we don't need a roll call. Mr. Mayor, congratulations. You're the VP. Okay. Third item is clerk of the council. So
I want that one.
This is going to be a
take
tough
it too.
decision.
That's the only one pays anything.
Yes, sir.
I nominate Jill DeSouza.
Okay. Any other nominations from the
I
floor?
move that the nominations be
Is
closed.
there a second on the nominations being closed?
I'll second.
Second was
Ms. Hyde.
Ms. Hyde. Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Adoption of the minutes for the regular meeting dated December the 27th.
So moved.
Second.
First by Mr. Bruno and the second by Mr. Forrest. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Public input. Anyone wishing to address agenda items which were not on the public hearing? If not, we will take Parish President Miller and the Parish President report.
Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Vial, Mr. Mayhew. Thank you, Ms. Hyde, for 2 years of working together in that position. We'll continue to work with the council as we always do. Look forward to it. Hope everybody had a great New Year's weekend this couple of weeks ago, and it started off well. Our first item that I'd like to ask for your approval is for the pay raises per the Home Rule Charter for the Chief Administrative Officer, Director of Human Resources, and Director of Public Works. The raises, if approved, would be for the pay date of January 13th. Asking for Chief Administrative Officer Joe Thomas's, his adjusted pay to go to $49.43 per hour. Human Resource Director Rashonda Johnson adjusted to $42.48 per hour, and Public Works Director Andy Career to be adjusted to $48.08 an hour.
Any questions for Mr. Miller? Anyone?
No question.
You want to do these individually or in a group?
No,
Take
take
them as
them
a group.
We'll take them as a group. Is there a motion?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, that motion and second was for Joe Thomas at $49.43 an hour, Rashonda Johnson at $42.48 an hour, and Andy Career at $48.08.
I'd like to leave Mr. Thomas out. He looked like he wasn't too interested in whether he got it or not.
You get the
So
first and the second.
let's see if he runs in here, because I know he's listening.
He's
back there.
listening.
Okay, so the first
He's on the
was,
phone outside.
first was Mr. Joseph and second was Mr. Wells. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Those folks definitely deserve it, and we appreciate you recognizing that.
Yes, sir. Anything else?
Yeah, I have a couple more.
Okay.
We have approval to accept into the parish maintenance system Estates of Silver Hills Phase 1, Jasper Lane, Saltgrass Drive, Hamilton Lane, Silver Hill Phase 2, Saltgrass Drive, New Road Drive, Trinity Lane, Silver Hill Phase 3, Jasper Lane, Millbrook Way, Dothan Place, and all these are in District 2. It has been reviewed by our engineers, and I think our council member, District 2, Mr. Ingraffia, is fine with it.
Yeah, I spoke with all the engineers, so I'll make that motion.
All right. First by Mr. Ingraffia, second by Ms. Hyde. And there's a packet in your, there's all that information's in your packet. So you call roll, please?
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde? Yes. Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yeah.
I do have an item, ask if we can add it to the agenda. I know we have to do it by unanimous. We don't like to do it, but there was an opportunity that came up after the deadline for this agenda for some emergency LGAP grant dollars, $250,000 that could be used with the water district, the Tangipahoa Water District in relation to the Eastern Heights. And I think after last month, this was something we ought to move on as quickly as possible and not miss the opportunity for it. So if you would, we're going to need, as added to the agenda, to do a resolution to support us, to support the parish asking for the grant.
I so move that we add it to the agenda.
Second by Mr. Forrest and first by Mr. Bruno. You got that? Okay. This is to add to the agenda.
Yes.
Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde? Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Okay, and the actual resolution is a resolution of the Tangipahoa Parish Council President Government for Emergency State of Louisiana LGAP Grant Program Funds for the repair and replacement of potable water infrastructure.
So moved.
First by Mr. Bruno, second, please.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mayhew. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgetill?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Thank you very much. If you don't mind, I have one note I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. We went through New Year's, a week or so ago, and if any of you watched the Rose Bowl parade, you saw the float, the Louisiana float. I want to make sure that, and she happened to be here. I didn't know she was going to be here. Miss Carla Tate is here. They were a huge part of making that float a huge success for Louisiana, and of course represented Tangipahoa Parish exceptionally well. As we know, Carla and her staff always do a phenomenal job, and I just wanted to make sure that we talked about it and put it out there to the public that Tangipahoa played a major role in making sure that Louisiana was well represented. So Carla, thank you very much as always, and we appreciate you.
I was disappointed, though, she wasn't on the float with the queens. I thought she would have been dressed and up there with her crown
I was
on.
looking for her, but she was having a good time in the grandstands,
That's
from what I
think so,
understand.
yeah.
Does anybody have any other questions for me? Yes, sir.
We might want to make mention that we attended the Water District meeting the other night.
Yes, sir.
And it looks like some good things are going on.
It appears, as Mr. Bruno said, that last Monday, the Water District had their meeting, and Eastern Heights representatives were there. The Water District Board had a lot of good information, had good questions. They're working through their attorney to collect the right amount of data. Mr. Dupree from Eastern Heights was there, very cooperative. Sounds like that we're moving in the right direction, so we're going to keep working very hard to do that. Mr. Bruno obviously represented you all very well in making sure that the Water District understood where we as a council and an administration feel this should go. So we're going to be there to support it and hope that it works out. So if you have any questions.
And I really thank you for coming, and there's some other things that's coming down the pipe. We have, I guess when Robbie says that this is the best parish in the state, everybody keeps picking our people and taking them away, but it works out good because we have a lady that's working for the state now who contacted me, and we're possibly going to have a meeting next week to look at maybe some state funding and federal funding. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. Nothing's guaranteed, but we're going to have a meeting probably next week. And this should really, if this was to come to pass, this may be something that could really help the Water District and the Eastern Heights situation. So we just, hopefully maybe by the next meeting, we'll have some information on that.
Great. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Nothing else from Mr. Miller. We shall move on. Next item on the agenda is presentation Restore the Earth Foundation. Ms. Coates, I think you had put this on the agenda.
Yes, sir. So I'd like to introduce Mr. John Lopez. He's here to give us a short presentation. And John's been here working on the coast area of Tangipahoa Parish for years. He used to be with Lake Pontchartrain Basin Foundation, so I'm happy to introduce him tonight. And I'm going to put this on the screen.
That was my next question. Is this going to be on the screen?
Yes, I'm putting it up now.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is this on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me tonight. I'm John Lopez. I'm a coastal scientist. As Ms. Coates was saying, for about 15 or 20 years, I was with the Lake Pontchartrain Basin Foundation, and we did a lot of work on what we call the Maurepas Land Bridge near past Manchac.
Just for the record, I know you told us your name. What's your address, please?
Sure. 387 Carr Drive, Slidell, Louisiana.
Thank you.
So You know, when I was with the Lake Pontchartrain Basin Foundation, we started planting some cypress trees, and we're having some success, and got involved with Restore the Earth Foundation, and I left the Pontchartrain Conservancy about 2 years ago, and so now I'm a consultant working for Restore the Earth Foundation. They've been around since 2008, and I first started getting involved with them around 2010. And they did some of the earliest projects of this type in Louisiana, like right after the oil spill. And since then, they're a relatively young organization, but they've grown in capacity so that like the scale of restoration of reforestation has gone up. And so there's a project that's coming in your parish, and I'm going to show you that map in a moment, this winter in a few months. And it's preceded by a project that we did last year on the West Bank in St. Charles Parish of about 4,000 acres and reforesting with cypress trees. And give you some idea of the scale of that, Pontchartrain Conservancy and with a lot of partners over 10 years, we did a lot of development, which was important, kind of showing how to plant the trees and all that. But altogether, we did about 400 acres over 10 years. And so Restore the Earth, just a few months ago, did 4,000 in St. Charles Parish, and we're getting ready to do 4,000 in Tangipahoa Parish. So let me go ahead and just show you a few graphics just to help. And feel free, obviously, to interrupt, ask any questions or comments, please. So, you know, these are a lot of the benefits that you get from these kinds of projects. You know, replanting trees, you rebuild a forest, it restores the historical ecology. It's more than just aesthetics. It helps rebuild the environment for all the different organisms. And for a lot of the land bridge, what was formerly a forest is now low marsh. And so we're trying to rebuild the forest canopy with trees. But it has a whole series of benefits, including mitigating climate change because trees store carbon, and that's a major objective all over the world now to try and store carbon, and trees is one way to do that. Please go ahead, Kim. Restore the Earth has a larger vision. It's they call the Mississippi River floodplain America's Amazon. It's a huge watershed, a lot of Oh, thank you. You can go to the next one, please. So here's the Salvador Wildlife Management Area, and this large-scale restoration that we did in Salvador last year and what we're getting ready to do this year in Tangipahoa is in cooperation with Wildlife and Fisheries. It's on the wildlife management areas, so we're working side by side with Wildlife and Fisheries. So that pink area there next to Lake Salvador, we did 4,000 acres, and in the next few months, we're going to do an additional 6,000 acres in that pink area. Go ahead, please. So here's the area in Tangipahoa. You see, once again, a pink outline north of Pass Manchac. There you go. Thank you. It's all right. All right. Navigating better than I could. Thank you. So yeah, that pink area. Now, the reason it's kind of irregular is that all of that is in the WMA, but north of that line, you already have a forest. So we don't need to reforest what's already has a forest. But the southern boundary is the boundary of the wildlife management area. So right now, we're focusing on that outer band of the wildlife management area that needs to be reforested. We also have planting south of Pass Manchac in the Maurepas WMA, and excuse me, the Manchac WMA, and that's that outer pink rim. The interior of that area is kind of low, and so we're not sure the trees are going to survive. We'll probably do some test planting there, and maybe it'll show that it'll work. But right now, the best area is around the outer edge. But we do plan to get more or less all that pink area in the Joyce WMA, that's in Tangipahoa Parish. Go ahead, please. So, yeah, here's just some of the numbers, you know. It's about 4,000 acres. Terminology we like to use is lines of defense, and the whole Maurepas land bridge. I'm sure you guys are very familiar how that is so important to maintain the integrity of Lake Pontchartrain and Lake Maurepas. And, you know, there's some scenarios under the state master plan that land bridge could go away under the worst conditions. So when I was with Pontchartrain Conservancy with the Restore the Earth Foundation, it's about maintaining that land bridge. I mean, we certainly, there's all the ecologic benefits, but there's also the storm surge benefit that is of a primary concern. Go ahead, please. So the trees that we plant are saplings. They're about 3 or 4 feet tall. They're grown in what's called 1-gallon pots. And this is very similar to what we did when I was at Pontchartrain Conservancy, but there's REF has refined this, and they have some special techniques that they think enhances the chance of success and the growth rates. The pictures there is, I believe that's from Pointe-à-Chien. Yeah, Pointe-à-Chien. And the trees there were planted in 2017, and they're now about 10 foot tall. And, you know, one of the things about, you know, we all like to see a large tree, especially a beautiful cypress tree, but in terms of storm surge, you don't need a 50-foot tall tree. Just a tree that's 5, 10, 15 foot tall can do a lot, you know. So, you know, it can happen relatively quickly. Next slide, please. So there's just some of the examples of habitat. You know, obviously the trees produce seed. Maybe there'll be natural regeneration in the future, but you have bird nest and, you know, possums, raccoons, all use the trees just like you'd expect. REF has developed a methodology to try and assimilate all of the restoration outcomes and benefits. It's kind of hard to do, you know, things like ecotourism, just aesthetics, aside from maybe reduced damages from storms and flooding. And they use ecometrics to do that. And you can go ahead, Kim. So yeah, here's where it tries to get this full value and all these things. Some of these things are kind of soft, but there are ways to try and put numbers on them. And you can go ahead. And this is just an example. This is not necessarily Maurepas, but just an example where the data suggests, or this analysis suggests, that with a $5 million investment, you might have $168 million worth of benefits. So like a 30-fold increase. So, I mean, it's kind of intuitive. You know, we all know that there's like all these other benefits, but it's hard to get hard numbers on them. And this is an indication that, you know, the investment is worthwhile. Now, in this case, of course, the parish is not putting up the money. Restore the Earth is bringing the money, and so it's maybe is irrelevant to you, but this is helpful for funders to help show the benefit of what these projects do. Yeah, I think I'll just skip this. This is just the breakdown of the numbers. So that's a concluding slide. So any questions?
Do they plant anything other than cypress trees in there that are?
In this case, I think they're planning to plant all cypress. Now, when I was with Pontchartrain Conservancy, we did plant several other species, and Restore the Earth is looking into other species, but you know, red maple, green ash, tupelo, they can all do pretty well, but what we found when I was at Pontchartrain Conservancy is cypress really do the best, and they're really kind of the most important species. But we are looking to that because maybe what you're suggesting, I suspect, is you know, diversity is good. You know, you want to have some mix in the forest. So yeah, we're going to be looking into that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You know, several years ago, Southeastern had a program similar to that. Do you coordinate with them?
Oh yeah. In fact, I was exchanged email with Gary Schaefer and Dr. Hillman just last week, and there was a project that I think it was 2 different projects. Rob Moreau was involved with one, and Gary, and those projects were done. At least one of them was done before the MRGO was closed, and salinities were a lot higher. And if some of you may remember that in the late '90s there was a big drought, and then the salinities got very high. So those projects, for the most part, didn't do well. But that was, we think, pretty much because of the MRGO, which now that it's closed, what we find is that the habitat's much more suitable for cypress. And so can't say that what happened then can't be repeated. Something else that's also encouraging, though, is the state intends to build, the Maurepas Swamp diversion, which will be very good for the swamp. And I was talking to someone with the state today. That permit is expected to be issued this month, and hopefully that construction will start this year.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure.
A little bit more about the Maurepas diversion?
Yeah, it's in St. John Parish. It would divert 2,000 cubic feet per second from the river into the swamps on the east bank. And that water eventually would make its way toward Lake Maurepas, and it would, we think, help the west side of the Maurepas land bridge. That water would get in the lake and help. It's going to tend to move toward Lake Pontchartrain. And what where we're seeing these diversions before, like at Carnarvon and at Davis Pond. There was an article in the paper just the other day about Davis Pond. The trees do really well. They just explode. At Carnarvon, the trees grow, 2 or 3 times as great as the ones we planted on the land bridge, on the Maurepas land bridge. With the diversion, we think that'll get a little better. Probably still won't be as good as Carnarvon, but the growth rates right now are slow at Maurepas, but the diversion will help. And as I said, the benefit, especially with surge, you don't have to have giant trees, just even modest trees. So that diversion has been on the books for 30 years, and they finally have the permit, they have the money, it's in the master plan, so it really does look like it's going to go forward. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I'd just like to say thank John for coming tonight, and thank Restore to Earth for inviting me. I went to a workshop. Southeastern was there, Pontchartrain Conservancy was there, many other scientists and local groups, and Wildlife and Fisheries, some other parishes. We went to a workshop first and was explaining this project, and we discussed all around, and I pointed out some different areas and stuff. So it was really great, and I'm glad they're coming. And I've been talking for years that those wetlands are part of our storm surge protection and stuff. So I'm really glad that we're able to continue to try to work and build that back up.
So we had some good catfish too.
And I'd like to add.
I'll just add, if you don't mind. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, President.
Well, first of all, thank you for this, and we appreciate the reforestry coming. But our rock jetty, our land bridge that we're building along the coast of extending it more toward the mouth, it should be starting. The Corps finally approved our permits, so the engineers are tightening up everything to go out for bid to be able to start actually adding on and building to it. If you remember, you all, the council agreed to that, for us to do that 3 years ago, I think it is now, maybe even 4, to do that expansion of it. So it should be beginning with everything going right sometime during 23, which will add more. And we know that grows. If you haven't been there, you need to go see how much land has actually been reclaimed because of that rock jetty.
You're absolutely right. I mean, you can just look at Google Earth and you can see what the benefit it's having. So that's a good thing that it's being expanded.
And now we'll extend this from Tangipahoa River all the way to Manchac Pass, correct?
It'll get very close to the North Pass. It
Yes.
doesn't.
South
If
Pass.
the dollars work out, it should get all the way to the North Pass. And the hope would be to go on the east side of the mouth of the river and go towards St. Tammany to protect that really nice, still very nice batch of cypress trees that are still there. There's still a nice number of trees that are still there.
Again, thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Any other
if I could
comments?
just add one
Sure.
last thing. I just want to say that, we'll be in touch with Kim as things go forward, but if anyone else needs to, any information, just feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for being here. Okay, the next item is introduction of Tangipahoa Parish Ordinance 3301, an ordinance to authorize the parish president or his authorized designee to execute any and all documents in regard to the purchase and acquisition of land with improvements, lots 14, 15, 16, SQ 7A, Meet, Louisiana. There's a packet in your, it's in your packet, and Mr. Miller, I don't know if you have any comments on this, or?
As we talked about prior, this is the little over a 3,000 square foot building. with 1 acre of land, $390,000. We're really excited about the opportunity there. The registrar of voters would be moved in there, which would give more space to renegotiate with the various agencies that'll be left in the courthouse on how they allocate that space, and we prepare it for them.
Any questions for Mr. Miller? Pleasure of the council.
I'll second.
First from Ms. Hyde, is that correct? And a second from Mr. Wells. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Vial,
Yes?
Ms. Hyde,
Yes.
Ms. Coates,
Yes.
Mr. Force,
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Bruno. Mr. Richtel.
Yes.
Mr. Mayu.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item, introduction of PP ordinance number 2302, an ordinance amending and enacting Chapter 36, Planning and Development, Article 4, Standards for Subdivision of Property Roads. This was, came up at, I guess we had this discussion at the developmental regs meeting, and it has to do with subdivision of property. It has to do with private roads. It has to do with, there are some folks out there trying to work around our regulations, I guess is about the best way to say it. And I don't, Tracy's here. I don't know, Tracy, you want to make any comments on this? Or maybe give us a little synopsis? It's been a while since everybody's looked at this, I think. But I think it's headed in the right direction. It takes us in a direction we need to go.
Yeah, as you all know, that this is a living, working document, and I'm sure it'll have to be tweaked from here to till we all aren't here anymore. But there's some in-arounds in our codes now that some of the surveyors are using, and legally so. They can use that to divide land. So just with the help of Brad and comments from DRC, Nick and Kylie, all of us have been involved with this, and we think it's moving in the right direction and stopping some of that stuff that's getting through the loopholes.
You know, it does, I'm sure everybody's read it, but it takes us in that direction, and it doesn't stop you from moving beyond what the regulations say. It's just you have to go through the planning commission process in order to do that.
Correct.
So you still have that out if you want to go that route, but this eliminates some of that bypassing of the regulation is what it's doing.
Mr. Chairman?
If any of y'all want to see, go on the fence, or what you want to do, if you want to
Turn the mic on.
Microphone, Mr. Bruno, please.
If any of you want to see how they're trying to skirt this, I'll be glad to take you and show you. And I'm one that I don't want to put any burdens on people doing with their land. But this is not the people that own the land. These are out of town, most of the time, developers who are coming in and wanting to do something to make a quick buck. And if you would come see what they did to this piece of property, and with no thought of what it was going to do after they did what they did, I think Bridget ran out there and saw it. You can't allow this to go on, because what you're going to have is people that are buying this land are coming from areas other than Tangipahoa Parish. So they see a pretty piece of land and I want to build my house there, but they don't realize once these houses are built, you're living on a private road. There's nobody to take care of that road. So you're going to have 50 houses, 100 houses on a private road. We had that 30 years ago, where people, Buddy can tell you, people were leaving their houses and turning them back to the bank because they couldn't get to their house. And these developers don't care about that, because once they sell the lots, they've got their money and they're moving on. So as far as the property owner himself, there's avenues he can sell it, and most of this land is sold in big tracts like this was. So I think you've got to do something, because you have regulations in place. If you want to do a development, do it. Do it the right way. But don't do it and then leave it behind for the people that either buy it or the neighbors that's got to live with it. And that's what you got with this situation.
And we did take into consideration some of the larger landowners, or just the, the grandma and grandpa, mom and pops. We don't want to impact those people if they want to give a couple acres to their family. I would buy 10 acres and purposely buy it for my family and children. So we took those people into consideration too. Just there's a lot more of the development side going on versus, just the mom and pops giving to their kids.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
The comments I would have to say about the grandma and grandparents, the family partitions to be able to separate the land is it's not equal for all. It depends on how much land that you have on a tract as to how you must divide it. And I don't think that's fair to everyone, because the more land that's in that tract, the bigger the plots have to be. And that is affecting the mom and pops and the kids and those that want to receive land. And the minimum is 1.8. And I know we have a bunch of land tracts that we are allowing people to live on that's a half acre or 1 acre. But according to this, it has to be that way prior to the division, because once you divide it, you got to wait 10 years before you can get down to that half acre or 1 acre. So I don't think it's consistent. That's my input.
And that's a good point, Trent. But here's the thing, what do you do? Because it goes back to that guy that developed it. It's not actually the person that's selling it, it's the guy that bought it, and then he's skirting the regulations. And it's like we talk about all the time, it's always the good person got to suffer for a few of the bad ones. And that's what's so bad, Now, I wish there was another way to do it, but there's already a couple of 2 or 3 of these that's being proposed around the parish now. And if this starts, you won't have anybody developing anything with regulations anymore. They're just going to buy tracts of land, split it up. You're going to have private roads everywhere to deal with. And the biggest thing, and I'm going to stop talking, but this is something that in this tract, there is no water, there is no sewer. There is no public servitude for these sewers to drain to. So he builds a private road. He sells the lots. These people are going to have to put in a sprinkler type system if the lot is big enough to do that, or else where are they going to take their sewer? Because there is no public servitude to take the sewer to, unless something's put in there to where he has to dedicate a utility servitude for all utilities coming into that development. And in this case, there was none of that put in their discussion of how they were going to do that.
And also, Energy's having problems with, they divide it one time thinking, okay, there's 1 house or 2 houses there, and ended up being 8 or 9 or, 16 in this case. And they're like, wait, we need to know how this is planned out in the future. And they're not telling Energy, so they're not getting those servitudes. It's a whole lot involved versus just cutting up land in lines on a piece of paper. And we even took into consideration a lot of the surveyors. A lot of them don't like what's going on. They feel like this is not the future of the parish, and they've given a lot of their input. And technically, these are their clients, Yeah. But any comments are welcome. Like I said, this is a living document, and we don't want to hurt people, but we definitely need to protect people as well.
I so move.
Anyone else? Motion by Mr. Bruno, second.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Hyde. Would you call roll, please?
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
No.
Mr. Ingraffia?
No.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes. Motion passes 8-2. Okay. Next one is item 7, introduction of TP ordinance 2303, an ordinance amending and enacting chapter 42, streets, roads, sidewalks, and drainage. Article 1, in general, section 42.4, acceptance of existing streets in the parish road system. Number 6, in section 4221, road specifications. This is around gravel roads, and I think I've got to remember this one not being taken into the parish maintenance system. So that's basically what the change was.
No gravel road.
No gravel roads can be taken into the maintenance system.
So move.
Any other all right, got a motion by Mr. Bruno. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Hyde is a second. Would you call roll, please?
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
No.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 9-1. Next item is adoption of a resolution number R2301, a resolution of the Tangipahoa Parish Council President, government supporting federal disaster funding through the Louisiana Office of Community Development Disaster Allocation. I see Mr. Dart is here. Could you give us a little brief on this one, John? Or Mr. Miller,
Well, this has to do with CDBG disaster funds, not specifically for recovery, but for areas of the parish that could be revitalized, including infrastructure. The resolution allows us to put together projects to go after this money. It doesn't actually give us the money. It lets us go, apply for projects to do that. There's cost-benefit analysis has to be done on the projects, and also with this resolution, we will begin putting together the application for what we want to do with it.
Any questions from anyone? Pleasure to council.
I so move.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Coates and second by Mr. Wells. Call roll, please.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
All right, motion passes 10-0. There's a request to amend the agenda, and it's a resolution concerning the 24 parish comprehensive plan that we're engaged in right now. There's a group that's looking at this, just as kind of an awareness thing. This resolution, I'll read it real quick. The awareness of outreach and engagement efforts are underway for the 2045 Parish Comprehensive Plan, currently in development, for which a planning survey is live, and a community engagement event is scheduled for January the 26th, 2023 at 10 a.m. That's at the Clausen Building, and we're updating the 2008 Comprehensive Plan. This will give us a long-term vision for Tangipahoa Parish to the year 2045. The planning team has launched a website and survey. It's www.tangi2045.com, which will give you information about the plan. It says here, we recognize the importance of engaging the community, which is a big part of this plan, and we'll work together and notify the public of the first community engagement event, and that's what this resolution is about. And that first event will be January 26, 2023, 10 a.m. at the Tangipahoa Parish Clausen Building Conference Room. So is there a motion to amend?
I make a motion, we amend the agenda and add
Ms.
this.
Hyde is motion to amend. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Mayu. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Motion to amend. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
I so move.
I second.
Ms. Hyde and Ms. Coates is second. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Vial, I have a
Motion-
comment.
I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Motion passes 10-1. Go
Yes.
ahead.
We hear from people all over the parish with different concerns, and this is a great opportunity for the citizens of our parish to get involved and be a part of what we're doing. So there is a survey on this website. The website's live, and I would encourage people to go and take the survey. That's how we get information to be able to make the decisions that we need to make. So again, that's www.tangi2045.com, and I just encourage people to participate in this process. It's going to probably be a year-long process. As Mr. VL said, the first meeting is the 26th at 10 a.m. That is open to the public.
And what we're trying to do here is really set a direction on how we develop, where we develop, and what we develop between now and 2045. And as everybody knows, our parish has grown tremendously. We've got behind the 8 ball a little bit. Now it's time to really update this plan, put it in place, and set a direction for our parish. Any other comments from anyone? Okay, beer, wine, and liquor permits, I don't think we have any. Legal matters?
None tonight.
Mr. Bruno, anything?
Anything else, co-counsel?
No, but we had a little discussion before the meeting about the situation on Dana Road. And Dana Road, if y'all remember, that's the one, a few years ago, we took them to court, we won. Then, I don't know, it slipped through the cracks, we didn't do it. And then we gave it back to Brad to try to clean it up. It's a half-acre site, that's the one with the feet coming up out of the ground stuff. It's a little worse now than it was, if you can imagine that. But I would like, I think we okay, but I'd rather you maybe look at this a little closer. And Jill, if we can put it on the agenda for the next meeting. If we think we can do it through code enforcement, that would probably be quicker. But I'd rather Brad to do a little research on it and see, because this is going to be major cleanup. It's bad. And if we have to do it going through the court again, I hate that we have to do that, but if he feels through research we can do it with code enforcement, then we'll do it that way. But just something to get the ball rolling. But if you can put it on the agenda for the Dana Road property, and Brad can, will it be Chris next time, huh? You maybe can give him the information.
I'll pass it on.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, one question, your issue's resolved? I mean, we talked about it at the last meeting. Yes.
Yeah, I've got emails from the neighborhood that they moved out, and they've emptied the house, it's went up for sale, and I even got an email that someone was interested in the house.
Good.
And I think they pretty much moved on, hopefully, somewhere else.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay,
I got a couple of
any other councilman privileges?
Yeah, I have.
Yes, Mr.
I
Joseph.
want to thank Joey, first of all, for helping me resolve an issue with the railroad crossing in Independence and the village of Tangipahoa. That was a real tricky situation in the village of Tangipahoa. We could have lost someone up there. Thanks, Joey, for getting on that. I'll keep you posted on when and if they get to the one in Independence. When you're crossing Highway 40, you got to get out the right lane, get in the left lane across the track. So bad. Second thing is Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 1052, is honoring the 5 Medal of Honor winners who were in the Vietnam War. We are unveiling a beautiful plaque for them in the Ponchatoula Cemetery this Saturday at 10 a.m. across from Walgreens in Ponchatoula. So if y'all are available, I'd like for y'all to please try to come. And Kim and Bridget, I heard from Henry Morgan and Pete Jones, and they say they would definitely be looking for you two ladies there. The second thing I have is I'm still trying to help the school district with get our kids into college, trade school. I'm meeting with the Capital Region Transit Planning Commission Wednesday at 10 o'clock in Baton Rouge. And the purpose of that meeting, Robbie, is to do a brainstorming session on how we can get transportation for those kids on the north end of the parish, or anywhere in the parish, actually, if they want to go to college, to transport them to Southeastern, to the trade school in Hammond, or to Southern University or LSU in Baton Rouge. I don't know exactly how it works, but Kenyatta Robinson, who is the director of that program, will school me, and also Chief Casaroni is going to ride with me from Kentwood. John, you want to come up and break it down a little bit more for the council members for us, please?
I don't have the details, but I think it's very doable.
John, microphone, please. At the mic, please.
John Dardis Hammond, my address, P.O. Box 2513.
You fit that PO box?
I think it's very doable because the parish has several sources of transit funds, and they're not geared for that right now, but I think it can work out where you can make some amendments to your program to allow that to happen, to transport
help transport some people to school. I think they have some projects like that in other cities. And I'm just saying, I think we can make it work, but it depends on the parish's priorities and depends on what Ms. Robinson can offer, because they have some funds too. I imagine you're going to have to put two kinds of funds together to make this work.
Well, how will this connect with the Council on Aging? Don't we have some transportation out with that?
The Council on Aging has the contracts to run the urban and the rural services. And of course, the parish has funds to purchase vans. And so usually it's just how to work this out. You don't have to use the Council on Aging, but right now that's who your provider is. But you could get a provider, and those programs usually can even use a private provider, a private company that might be running vans, or the Council on Aging or the parish. So there's a number of ways to do it. I just believe it can be done. I think they'll want to help you with that. And sometimes they're looking at how to spend their funding. CRPC is the Baton Rouge portion of RPC's, the New Orleans portions, regional planning, and Baton Rouge is capital. Capital District more handles the northern part of our parish, and Regional Planning Commission handles a lot of projects in the south end.
Oh, so we're part of both of them?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then David, what I'm gonna do, this is a fact-finding mission, and I'm not making any commitments, Robert, at all, until I find out what's going on. I'll come back and report to the council and to the parish president. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to reach out and thank code enforcement, Nate, Quincy, and especially Bert Delaberta. I had a situation off of Waterline Road where there was abandoned cars, and I got a call that people were living in the cars out behind the building, and it was trailer loads of stuff they got hauled off. So just want to reach out and thank them for their hard work of getting that all cleaned up for me.
Sound like we've been cleaning up a lot of stuff. That's good. The word's getting around, it's getting out. Ms. Hyde.
I want to clarify with Mr. Joseph, is this the same thing as the Veterans Monument that the little group from Ponchatoula had been raising money for? Because I understood they were dedicating that at 11 o'clock Saturday.
In the one in Ponchatoula?
Yeah. Is this the same ceremony?
Yeah, it's the same one.
Okay.
I may be out by now. Who knows? I got to be there for 8 o'clock.
Well, you be there at 10, and I'll see you at 11.
They want me there for 8, so.
So what you want to do to all those people that you told to get there?
We'll have coffee and do that.
Any other councilman privileges?
Yeah,
Ms.
I
Coates.
have one last one. In December, we installed our 4th litter getter in the parish. It's in the Tallbenny River, just south of 190. Actually, the heavy rain the other day knocked it loose, and I got some calls that it was kind of hanging out on the side, because some people's like, "What's going on down there?" But it's geared to do that. If the rain or debris or something is geared for one side to come off, and then it'll swing and stay on the bank, on the other side where it stays attached. So until they get out there, the water had to go down, and they went and reattached it and stuff. So it finally, after, we had all the drainage canals and stuff cleaned up, after the drainage board got all of that done, they got all the litter getters back installed. They're back working again. Osprey actually went down stream and went, because some of this heavy rain we've been getting has been washing a lot of that downstream. So they actually took one morning about 4 hours and went downstream and went collect, I think, 9-10 big garbage bags full of trash in the rivers and stuff. So want to give a shout out to them, because they continue to do great work for the parish. So
Good job.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I got one. I just want to tell Mr. Lewis, thank you for what you do for the veterans, and Walmart for presenting you with a plaque. If y'all didn't notice, he made the front page of the paper. So,
Thank you, John.
you're welcome.
Anyone
Check
else?
is in the mail.
Anyone else? Anyone else? That's it. That's it? Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn? Anyone? All in favor? I hear no one objecting. Meeting adjourned.
We got a ball game.